Hey guys, I'm Shanique Yates with aspireTV, and today we're chatting with Reagan Gomez about Love Don't Cost a Thing and pretty much everything under the sun. Hey Reagan,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course.
What was it like being part of the rise of Black film during the 2000s?
Oh my gosh, being a part of the rise of Black film. Wow, nobody's ever said that about me or a film that I've done before. Coming off of the 90s when we had, so much Black content on TV and in film and in music, it seemed like the 2000s, the Black content went away. So being a part of a film like this, it was exciting. I've known Nick just from being a Black kid in the business. We kind of all I didn't know him like that, but I knew of him and I'd seen him on auditions and things like that. Same with Christina. It was great. And also, a lot of people don't know, but this film was directed by a Black woman, Troy
Yes.
Bair. And I knew her through Robert. I didn't know her like that, but obviously, Robert from the Parenthood and Robert and Troy had worked together before. Don't quote me, but I think that might have been the first film that I done with a Black woman director. And I realized while on set how important, that was. So I had a ball. I only worked a few days on that film, but it's one of the reasons why so many folks who were born in the 90s recognize me. They don't know the Parenthood, they don't know whatever, but as soon as they see me, oh my God, love don't cost a thing.
Yeah, and I'm one of those kids. I was born in 92. Do you think films like Love Don't Cost a Thing walked so that the movies that we see today, as far as like Black love on cinema, could run?
Mhm. I don't know if I would say that this film was the spark for, Black love in films because, Black film goes way back and there's been lots of love and love stories and different kind of love stories in Black film. But I will say for me, I was in my early 20s when we did this film. The film was we were all supposed to be high school. And I do think there's a special place in my heart for kind of coming of age stories, which I consider this to be, especially Black coming of age stories. So I would say maybe that. I don't know if this film walked so the other films could run, but I'll definitely say I need more Black coming of age stories about Black teenagers finding themselves and finding love. And I'm kind of excited about that. Not only Black coming of age stories, but films about all different cultures, non-white people that are in this country. I think we all need more stories focused on us, centering us. Everything doesn't have to be about oppression or hard times,
Yeah.
or even though those stories are definitely valid and those stories are important as well. I just think we need more. We need more of everything. And films about kids, Black kids, brown kids, just doing what we do. I really put those films. There's a special place in my heart for films like that.
For sure. Love Don't Cost a Thing highlighted a lot of fashion. It was a lot of FUBU, Sean John, baby
Oh
fat,
yeah.
you name it. I just got to know, what was your favorite fashion trend back then?
Oh gosh, and even hearing you say back then, oh my goodness. Well, I mean, that just is it ties into what I was saying just about the 90s, because obviously the 2000s were coming out of the 90s. And when I talk about how, we had Black film, Black TV, Black music, we had Black fashions too. The 90s was really kind of the birth of that. Even like for someone like me who I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, even going as far back as like Carl Kanai and Cross Colors and all of that. Like, we've always had our own sense of style, and we've always made something out of nothing and made it fly. Like,
Mhm.
every generation, every decade, the style changes, but the swag, the flyness, the hotness, that never changes. And it's something that we do and we do it well. So, I remember back then too, it's funny because everybody wears skinny jeans now, but back then it was like, how big is your t-shirt?
Yeah.
Andre 3000 had a song, I forget what song it was, but He said, y'all walking around with t-shirts looking like nightgowns. And that's really how it was. Like
Yeah.
the nightgowns were long and big, and so were the jeans. But you know, that was the hotness then, and we do what we do now, and now we're going into the 2020s. We'll see how things change this decade.
For sure. And you touched actually on my next topic, Troy Bayer. What was the significance of just working in a film directed by a Black woman? And she actually did the screenplay as well. She wrote the screenplay.
Yes, yes. At the time, I didn't understand how important it was. And it's so funny because coming from a show like The Parenthood, and at that time we had shows like Martin and Living Single and I don't know, One on One and Moesha. And so I'm coming from a place where we were used to Black sets. You know, we were used to most of the crew being Black, hair and makeup definitely being Black. So even on The Parenthood, we had women in high power positions like executive producers, and on the other shows, executive producers and things like that. But I didn't realize how important it was until I was much older. That film was directed by a Black woman, and the fact that we don't get as many opportunities. Not even saying that Black men get get all of the opportunities, but we definitely don't get them. But now in the age of Ava DuVernay and you know, women like that, I realize and see just how lucky I was and how many lessons I learned without even knowing that I learned them. And you know, now that I'm a director myself, knowing what kind of set that I want to have, knowing what kind of crew that I want to have, knowing that everybody needs to be on the same page that I am, and everybody needs to be respectful. And you know, a lot of people are not used to taking direction from women. People definitely are not used to taking direction from Black women. And in order to be a director on a crew, you have to have a crew that respects you. And that's just an ongoing, you know, struggle that we're all figuring out. But looking back, that was a very important moment in my career that I didn't even realize just how important it was until I got older. The same way seeing Robert on The Parenthood, you know, write episodes and direct episodes and produce episodes, and the notes that he would give the network at table reads, all of those lessons, I didn't understand just how important they were until I got older.
Absolutely. And here at Aspire TV, we're all about representation in the industry. So across social, I'm sure you've seen it. We use the hashtag see yourself here. Can you tell me about a time that the very first time that you saw yourself reflected in the industry?
Sure. I know the exact moment. It was The Five Heartbeats, and this movie came out before I came to California in the summer of 1994. I think The Five Heartbeats came out maybe 91 or 92, something like that. And the scene where Duck, played by Robert Townsend, has that scene with his sister. I don't know if you've seen the movie. I hope you have.
Yeah, I
But there's
have.
a scene, yes, the scene with his sister when they're cleaning up and she's singing. I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I can't sing, but like, I want to do that. What is she doing? Whatever that is, like, I want to do that. So I love that scene. That is my favorite scene of the film. And that is a really big reason why I, you know, wanted to be an actress.
Awesome. And speaking of being an actress, you know, like pretty much we're gonna have to make you an Aspire TV talent at this point because you actually have two screenplays that you starred in called "If You Really Love Me" and "Love Will Keep Us Together."
Yes.
And so, tell us about the screenplays. Like, how is it being a part of those?
I loved being on both of those films. You know, when I look back at my career, you know, because I'm a mom now. I'm a soccer mom right now. I have kids who really don't care about what my past life was like and who I know and why do these people come up to me in the grocery store. They really do not care. So, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself and look back at my career like, wow, you know, you have some really interesting things on there. I was, you know, honored to be a part of both of those projects. And, I'm still working. I'm writing and creating and directing myself. So going from being a young Black woman in the business as an actress and having an audition and all that kind of stuff, I really look forward to now. I'm still a young Black woman, um, creating those opportunities for other people who were in my position. So it's been a good ride.
That's really, really cool. And so, switching gears, I know that you were in Dear Santa, I Need a Date
Yes.
on TV1 this
Hmm.
past holiday. And you actually played the free spirited sister, Janelle
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
which I really love the movie, by the way.
Thank
What was
you.
it like being in a Christmas film, like doing a film centered around the holidays?
I'd never done a Christmas film before. And another Black woman directed that film, Terry J. Vaughn, who we know her from Steve Harvey Show. And yeah, she called me and said that she was directing a Christmas film. I was at my kid's soccer game and she called me and I was like, sure. But it's just a really great time, I think, for Black film, for Black content, for Black content creators. It is especially a great time for Black women content creators. Another thing with Terry, in a short film that I wrote and produced, I hired her as an actress on that maybe 10 years ago. So, again, another full circle moment. But I love Christmas films. I've never done a Christmas film before. It was nice doing it with Ray J also because a lot of folks kind of know him from reality TV. And
Yeah.
folks forget that he started on TV. He's an
Yes.
actor first. So that was really nice. I really had a good time. And Anne Marie Johnson, who is like Hollywood royalty, like I had a great time and I would work for Terry again in a heartbeat. So I loved the film. It was super cute. And I gotta say, this past Christmas, I saw a lot of Black Christmas movies, whether I don't know if we can mention other networks, but
Yeah.
I know Kelly Rowland had one. I think Kimberly Elise had one. I think Ashanti had one. So like this is a thing that I hope we keep doing. Every year we love Christmas too, and not just have one Christmas movie, every 6 years or every decade or whatever. So I had a ball, and I hope they call me again.
Right. And you wore many hats, including the one, as you mentioned, as producer. I know that you produced the web series Almost Home, and your latest project includes the sci fi web series Surviving, and you actually direct that yourself. So, what is
Yes.
it like being on the opposite side of the camera?
We did 2 seasons of Almost Home, and I had, I just called friends like Wesley Jonathan and Cynthia McWilliams and Jackie Long and Phil Morris Jr. I directed season 2 of that, but I wrote that whole web series, starred in it. We had original music. This was before Empire. We had original music. We had a soundtrack and all of that. I had a ball. But as far as really looking at it from what is it like to be behind the camera versus in front of it, I think I really experienced that with Surviving because we had the cast. We had a casting session because for Almost Home, I just called friends of mine. But for Surviving, which was a story about 2 Black sisters trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, I had the cast and whole castings. And that really gave me perspective on being an actor because I saw so many good people. But if you only have one role, you can only hire one person. So the perspective I got on that as an actor and a director was, if the role is meant for you, it's meant for you. And if it's not, that doesn't mean you're not good. That doesn't mean you're not talented. You just keep going until that role finds.
Absolutely. And you also had your podcast, Reaganomics, since 2015, and it's actually with your husband. And I
Yeah.
know the two of you, you're Hollywood vets, and y'all dish about like pretty much everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
what prompted you to start this podcast, and how did you manage to keep it going for what's going on 5 years now?
Well, we're definitely not as consistent as we need to be. We average about one episode a month. I started listening to podcasts maybe back in 2013, around the Trayvon Martin verdict. And I was glued to CNN and MSNBC just like everybody else. But I felt like I wasn't getting the real conversations that, I thought should be taking place about that particular case. Like, you can have Reverend Al on as, as much as you want, or whoever it is they called at the moment. And granted, Reverend Al is, he's a leader in our community, but I felt like I wasn't really getting the conversation that I really wanted, that my soul needed. And that's when I started venturing out and listening to podcasts. And I love podcasts. They have, it's been, I can't do math, but it's been about 7 years that I've been like listening to podcasts. I listen to so many. I have to force myself to listen to music. I listen to podcasts when I work out, when I run, in the car. I love podcasts. So I was like, to my husband, why don't we do a podcast? Like, we have been in Hollywood for a very long time. Me in the theatrical world, my husband in the music and modeling world. Now we're parents and we're raising kids. I feel like we have a lot of stuff, to talk about. So I love our podcast. It's Reagan Gomez podcast, and you can find us, wherever you listen to your podcast. I really, really enjoy doing the podcast, and it's something that I want to continue to do.
Awesome. What's next for Reagan? What are your aspirations for something that you haven't done yet?
I want to direct more. Well, all of the content that I've created on my own has been strictly for YouTube and my Vimeo channel. So, I want to venture out of that and start directing network TV and directing films. I'm about to do a Kickstarter actually for a film that I wrote and will direct. I'm about to launch the Kickstarter sometime next month. But that film is about a young Black girl based in LA. She's 13, and she finds out her dead parents were superheroes, and now the fate of the world is up to her. It's about Black and brown girls on bikes in LA saving the world. We have Stranger Things, E.T., I don't know how many other films and TV shows about young boys on bikes doing whatever it is that they do. I've never seen a film or TV show about young girls on bikes doing the same thing. Because I know when I was a kid, I was on bikes too.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that story. So I'm very excited about that story. And it kind of ties in with what I said about love don't cost a thing. Like, I love coming of age stories. I especially love coming of age stories about kids of color, girls of color. We don't get enough of those stories. And God willing, we will get this film done and get it out to the world, because those are the kind of stories that I want to see. And I know definitely my kids want to see. And there's a lot of other people out there who want to see, films and stories like that. But I've been a writer for a very long time. I started writing when I was a young actress, writing characters and stories that I wish I could audition for, that were, those stories were for the white girls. I was just the sassy Black friend, or the tell it like it is friend, or the pretty girlfriend who was there to support him in his dream. So now that I'm at a point in my life where I can create the stories that I want to see, this is what I'm focusing on.
Awesome. And I did have one last question for you. When I start off the new year, I like to start it off with one word that I want my year to reflect. What would your word for 2020 be?
Maybe not a word, but a sentence. Get it done.
Oh, I like
Get it
that.
done. And as, an independent content creator, there's always a reason you can't get your film made. There's always a reason why you can't, you just can't. There's always a reason why you can't. Go with the reason why you can. Figure it out. Figure it out. And this is for, the content creators that are watching, especially Black women. Especially Black women content creators. We have major barriers. We have major roadblocks, whether it comes to finances, or the support, or the access, or the opportunities. All of those things hit us in the face every single day. We've been navigating around them. We've been working around it. We've been surviving for, centuries. And it's just something that we have to continue to do. But no one is going to tell these stories unless we do. So we have to find a way to do it. So get it done.
I like that. I like that a lot. And so I wanted to get into, just to end things off on a fun note, just rapid fire questions. And they are like kind of like 2000s based, so you don't even have to think about them. Air Force Ones or Jordans?
Jordan.
Rockaware or Sean John?
Ooh. Sean John.
Okay. Apple bottoms or baby fat?
Baby fat.
Butterfly clips or chopsticks for your hair?
Butterfly clips, because I think chopsticks are not very appropriate right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
butterfly clips, yes.
Yeah. Love and basketball or brown sugar?
Ooh. Huh. Hmm. Brown sugar, because I feel like he should have been playing for her heart at the end. So
Yes.
yeah, brown sugar.
Yeah. Big Mama's House or Bad Boys 2?
Bad Boys too.
Yeah by Usher or Low by Flo Rida?
Yeah, by Usher.
Were you more of a glitter eyeshadow girl or just like that solid basic eyeshadow?
Glitter, definitely.
Okay. Chapstick or lip gloss?
Ooh, I think it depends on the day. If I'm
Mhm.
just, out and about, chapstick. But if I'm out and about and want to look cute, then lip gloss.
Okay. And in school, were you more of, did you like more like nerdy guys or the jocks?
Oh, I don't remember what I like. I just know everybody like me.
Oh,
Uh, so that's that on that.
okay. And lastly, beach or amusement park for hanging?
Oh God. Honestly, I guess amusement park. I hate the beach. I just saw this video of this boat that was being chased by orcas, killer whales, and I don't do the ocean. I don't know what's in that water. I'm convinced whatever is in that water is trying to kill me. So I do not like the beach, but my husband and my kids love it. So I don't really like roller coasters, but everybody in my house does. So I'll do amusement park, yeah, because at least some of them have alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much again, Reagan, for hopping on this call with me.